You are listening to the World Sports Show on WPPMLP Philadelphia. Soccer-based sports talk covering local, nation, and global soccer. Broadcasting from the Philly Cam studio in Center City, Philadelphia on 106.5 FM.
And welcome to World Sports Show. This is Charlie Flo. It is Sunday night, October the 14th. World Sports Show coming to you live on WPPNLP Philadelphia, 106.5 on your FM dial. On the internet, we are at phillycam.org/listen. This is Charlie Flo with John DeCriscio. We got a good special guest in tonight, Octawie Tah from Nation One Academy. We'll be breaking down his work with his academy a little later in the show. Let's go through the current news. Currently, U.S. women are up 5-0 on Jamaica at halftime of their game. We will give you updates later in the show, and we'll break down that CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. Earlier today, Canada beat Panama by a score of 7-0, so Canada stamped their spot in the Women's World Cup in France next summer with a 7-0 win over Panama. Panama still technically are alive. They will play in the third-place match, which will most likely be Jamaica. The winner of the third-place match will also book a ticket into the Women's World Cup. Also, U.S. men earlier this week played in a friendly against Colombia and lost 4-2. A lot of bright spots and a lot of dark spots. We'll break down all of those. MLS had a little bit of a break while the internationals are going on. As we talked last week, Philadelphia Union did clinch a playoff spot. Other MLS news that came out, it looks like all signs point to Columbus Crew staying in the state of Ohio. So that is good news, especially because that is one of the original MLS founding teams from 1996. So a lot to talk about. I think the big thing on everybody's mind is the U.S. women, but we will touch that a little later when the game actually goes final. Now within the Ernie Stewart era of U.S. men's soccer, we see Colombia a real test for U.S. men, a 4-2. There are times in that game where the U.S. looked absolutely lost. I don't know if you guys want to add. I mean, I'm just being honest. They did look, you got this guy Jaime. You've heard of him?
Just a little bit. You know what I mean? One of the top strikers in the world. But just to be devil's advocate, I did find a couple bright spots in the USA squad.
Couple? Well, the two that they scored were the bright spots?
The two that they scored. Well, also remind you that, what's it, 6 substitutions are allowed?
Yeah.
So the chemistry between the players isn't exactly, you don't get the full 90 in or, with the 3 planned subs or the 3 subs coming in. So a little bit of trial going on, which I kind of liked up top.
I mean, this is the big time in U.S. soccer where we're seeing a lot of the household names aren't in there. No. That we're seeing the torch being passed on to almost a lot of the European-based players. You still have your MLS players like Zach, Stefan, Bono, those guys that are going to establish themselves for a while within the U.S. And even Bradley's, is he going to be around for the next World Cup? Is this the time that you focus on that young group because they're the ones that are going to get you into the World Cup if we're going to get into the World Cup?
That's a good question with Michael Bradley. Is he going to be around for the next World Cup?
So do we hang on to him because he is a veteran,
I like that idea, but, veteran leadership is good, especially with the young core players that they have. But he looked very slow out there, especially against a super fast Colombia team.
Is this going to be the conversation where we're looking at the summer coming up? We have the Gold Cup.
Right.
I know everybody's focused on World Cup. I think that we look it almost kind of sounds like cliche and corny, but let's look at it this way. Baby steps. I think we have to make a move within the Gold Cup. And Gold Cup is a semi-important tournament. It's never really been, super celebrated. It's great when we're always in a final against either like Jamaica or Mexico It's either Mexico, U.S., and then sometimes Jamaica sneaks in there. So it's going to be one of those top teams that are going to be in the Gold Cup final. But I think this is the time where we have to go out there and win that. We have to take that momentum, win it. This is the time I think it's the most meaningful. Plus, okay, you win that, then you get to play dress rehearsal and play in the Confederations Cup.
I mean, it's a disappointment even with the third place match for the U.S. I mean,
not even winning that match.
Not even winning that match. Getting to the finals would be a huge plus, especially establishing some young players, especially in the more advanced positions like forwards and outside. Looks like Danny Wood up front with Pulisic being out looked kind of sharp, but a lot of players weren't getting the service that a good, solid midfielder would provide, and it was a little bit tough. That's why we saw a little bit of glimpses of brilliance, but not the full what we want to see, and we haven't seen that yet. But we know it could happen, but when's it going to happen? That's the point, and a Gold Cup will be the perfect time for putting it all together.
Yeah, a couple things come to mind with Gold Cup, okay? The biggest struggle that we had with the Klinsmann / semi-Bruce Arena era, it was a team that, Arena inherited that was built by Klinsmann, and it was a very tough spot that Bruce Arena was in. I know a lot of blame did go to Bruce Arena because of the Trinidad and Tobago game, so you're always remembered by your last game, so that game will always stick out. He did come into a very tough situation that a lot of coaches were put into that who knows what could have happened in qualifying because you're inheriting a roster and a situation that Klinsmann put us into.
Right.
Klinsmann did a lot of good, but also put the team into a situation with the losses at home really, really killed it, and that's the big thing is you win games at home, you get a few draws on the road in CONCACAF hexagonal qualification, you'll get in the World Cup. I mean, say it's one of the easiest confederations to ever qualify out of. I mean, 3.5 teams get in. We weren't even a half a team. You couldn't even get to half a spot.
That's funny.
To finish in 4th place, that not even our 5th place, not even finishing that. Okay, your 3 get in, your 4 goes into a playoff, not even finish in the top 4 to at least stay alive and extend your World Cup run to get that home and away playoff game. I think the best thing that now that we have Ernie Stewart taking over as the GM role is schedule these friendlies against teams like Colombia, teams like Panama, teams like even South America that are outside of CONCACAF. Let's even look at Caribbean nations that are outside of CONCACAF. Looking at some of those, nations. Well, they're all part of CONCACAF, but you know what I'm saying is try to play nations that are similar to the style of the nations we're going to scrimmage. The big thing Klinsmann loved to do is let's go play Germany in friendly. Love to play Germany. Let's go play these European nations. It gives you good ratings on your networks.
Sure.
Because you want to see USA against Netherlands. Oh, this is great. Because I remember they went to the Netherlands and won. You go to Germany. That's a big game. Go play Poland. Those are the ones that people come to the pub and they fill up because it's a good rivalry game. But how's that helping the U.S.?
I mean, I thought the Colombia game
play South America
pretty
teams.
good.
That's the closest to CONCACAF, to Mexico, to Costa Rica, to Panama. The teams you need to play the Latino-style football teams.
I mean, the one thing we learned from the last 2 friendlies going to Brazil and with Colombia is our defenders can't handle speedy wingers. That's just a fact. Torched every time. So let's start there. And then if you can't defend a speedy winger, Mexico, you're looking at every team in our confederation. You're not going to be able to win. It's fact. That's where all the goals are coming from.
And the game's evolving where not only you've got speedy wingers, now you've got right and left backs that aren't even right left backs.
Yeah.
I would be unemployed. I wouldn't make any team
No.
in today's day and age because I played left and right back. I can run, but I was not skilled enough to go up there and be part of the attack.
Right.
So I would hang back. Now you got these
Yep.
teams that are 4 or 5 guys running the flank that the game has evolved. We were known to be that team that could defend, but now we're defending against creativity on the wings from the midfielders and the defenders. Are you kidding me?
I mean, is that going to be a change? I mean, let's dig into this a little bit. So when Klinsmann came in, he basically, took the reins as coach, but he also carved the way for the whole national system from top to bottom. We're going to be a 4-3-3 system, and that's across the board. So are we straying from that a little bit to kind of we saw that it wasn't working with the team with him under his, when he was there. So there's a little bit changing here with these backs. I mean, I'm focusing on that, and I see it changing. It's dramatically changing because we can't keep up. Something's got to change from that 4-3-3 that could help on the back, especially in the corners.
Okay, I mean, what comes to mind again is Ernie Stewart's taking over. Let's look at,
Okay.
Is he going to do what he did with the Philadelphia Union, or is he going to do what he did in his mind of what the Philadelphia Union Academy's doing? And a big thing in the Philadelphia Union Academy is a lot of the things now that even Continental that I coach at is teaching that Dutch style of play, practice play, and that total football building out of the back, but it's a contradiction. Are you building out of the back or are you total football? Which one is it?
Good call.
Which one is it? The Dutch style is everybody plays everything.
Right.
And I think that if we are going to be a nation that develops players, I think that I like that idea, that total football, that kids need to learn to play every position. Right. Kids at 12 and 13 coming to me at tryouts and telling me where they play, like already defined as a position.
Coach, I play right, not even a position this side. I play right striker. Yeah. Like, whoa. Okay.
Get in the back. And yeah, that's what my youth teams that I coach, both of my youth teams that I coach, everybody plays every position. And I'll throw people in the keeper spot. Why? Because my keepers use their feet a ton.
Yeah.
And I'll play back to my keeper. So everybody should play everything at that age. Why? Because of being versatile. I mean, Octawie, how many positions did you play growing up as a kid?
I think I played 3. I remember. But now, as you said, football itself has changed a whole lot now. Goalkeepers now, he's part of the 12 man. I mean, 11 is still playing the field as well. We see teams like Man City doing this thing as well. So, I mean,
ask Joe Hart. That's why he's not employed at Man City anymore.
Absolutely.
He can't use his feet. and that is the evolution of the game that we are. Like, I'm glad you brought the position of goalkeepers. I'm a goalkeeper coach. Goalkeeper coach. Now we're looking at these like you brought up with Man City. You're bringing in a Brazilian keeper that can use his feet.
Absolutely.
Now, you can't use your feet, but you're an amazing keeper. Okay, great. All right, I'll take a good keeper that is great with his feet because now you're involved with my attack and you're part of my back line. And if I got a good enough back line and spread the wing like that, I don't need as good of a keeper, but more of a good field player / keeper.
I think you're onto something here.
No, and that's the thing is we are known for this nation of producing Brad Friedel, Casey Keller, all these keepers that – I forget the best one is Howard. Tim Howard. But, yeah, it's funny how quick it slipped from my mind. But, that we've produced these great keepers. But when you think of Tim Howard, you think of Casey Keller, and you think of Brad Friedel, you're not thinking of these guys that are amazing with their feet.
Right.
And now you're seeing the guy like Zach Steffen, who's doesn't necessarily look like a keeper. He could look like a field player out there, even with Bono, too, the keeper out of Canada. They don't have that keeper look. I've been this big, stocky, 6'5" guy that can just own that territory of the goal. Now you're looking for that quick Spider-Man type of guy.
Right. I think the keeper position. I'd be shocked if it was changed for especially going on to the Gold Cup. To me, Zach Steffen is one of the complete goalkeepers. I mean, he's like you said, he's good with his feet, good shot stopper, and the generalship is there. He can control the back line and he keeps it tidy. So against that Colombia game, just going back to it. I don't want to put too much blame on the keeper because what can you do? I mean, some world-class strikers putting the ball in the net, but moving forward, I'd be shocked to see in meaningful games him not being in there or at least splitting if it's a friendly and you want to get Guzan reps or bring up a young kid.
Yeah, it's just that transition period that we're going through now for our identity, and we're looking at almost a year without an official head coach. We've had an interim head coach. So, I mean, a lot of people ask me, we don't have an identity.
There's a deadline coming up for the announcing of the head coach coming up, right?
I mean, did they actually have an official date? I mean,
I want to think it's got to be around November.
They said they were going to name it around that time.
Yeah.
And I did email U.S. Soccer. We're working on getting Ernie Stewart on the show. So, unfortunately, they have meetings tonight, so Ernie wasn't able to be on the show tonight. But we are in talks getting Ernie on, and that's something we would love to bring up with him. Sure. Hopefully, we have him on the show before the announcement, so we can kind of get an idea of, that I look at it now that it has been this long. Let's not rush it now. Now that he's in charge, let's not have to have a date says that, shop around your candidate. Hey. I mean, I heard a joke about Jose Mourinho.
Oh, here we go.
I don't want Jose Mourinho as our head coach because I don't know if he could accept the culture that we are in America. You have to understand our country, and that can be an Achilles heel of any foreign coaches that comes into our country. How much did Jose understand about the American culture and the American people? And soccer's third and fourth sport. Sometimes you can say it's the fifth sport.
Did he win a title in England?
He did.
There you go.
There you go.
I answered your question for you. He did it there.
He did it there.
Right.
But he did it with Chelsea. He did it with access to the best players. He could go get the best players.
I'm just playing advocate.
Yeah, no, I'm playing advocate, but
he came in with a staff.
Yeah,
he got a ton.
The way our system's set in America, we're not getting the best players.
Imagine asking him about a playoff format in soccer.
Playoffs? You get like your Jim Moore all over again. Yeah. Jim Moore Senior again.
Playoffs.
Yeah, it's
too funny.
Yeah, have him coaching in the MLS, and thinks the season's over with. All right, we won the league. We're done. Yeah.
All right, just to finish up on the USA-Colombia friendly, a lot of people, it was tough. One thing, the crowd was, I want to say 90% Colombian fans, and they were going crazy the entire match. And I'm just trying to look for bright spots for the U.S. What did you say? What do you feel?
I think our counterattack was good, and we got young speed. One thing that's been a U.S. staple is being fast, discipline, and shape. That's what everybody says when they come and play the MLS. A lot of these European players come, and that's what they say. The big thing is about the Americans. We're physical and we're fast. I think we need to go back to that. But I think what got us in trouble was we started acting pretty. It's true. It's kind of like what Alexi Lalas or Taylor Twillman about players being pretty and tattooed. Right. That I think too many of these players, even look at the youth level, like even with college players that I work with and the almost college level players that I work with, is everybody looks for the pretty game. Everybody's looking to meg people. They're looking to break you down one-on-one. Break me down a one-on, but actually break me down and beat me.
Yeah. Right. My question
is, meaningful breakdown.
I mean, you had Tim Weah on the left. You had Fafa Pico on the right. Why weren't these guys getting the ball in the space so they can attack? The two fastest guys maybe in the building out of 80,000 people and not getting the ball where they should to attack. And I was waiting for it the whole night.
So glad you brought that up.
Let's go.
It just made me think of something that I totally forgot to put on the timeline of the production meeting. This guy, Usain Bolt, have you guys heard of him? Jamaican sprinter?
Yeah.
Scored a couple goals for his Aussie side.
That's good.
You know what? Because his players are putting balls at his feet for the right runs. Now you're saying, okay, he's a decent soccer player. Let's get it. He's just an athlete. But if he's scoring goals and he's the fast man of the world, and you've got fast guys like you said about Fafa and
everybody.
Yeah.
Wood up top.
These guys that I mean, he's got the African roots right there. Look who his father was.
Yedlin. I mean, it's
good segue, you know. But they've got soccer skills,
right?
And they should be breaking these guys down. If Bolt can find the back of the net for his Aussie side, because he's making runs. Why aren't we making his runs? But I think it comes down to we talk about that we haven't had that center mid cam attacking midfielder that just plays balls like the Iniesta. Why is Messi good? Iniesta. We don't have anything close to that until we have that center midfielder. Like I'm talking like a 5'7" stocky guy, low center of gravity, who's like a pit bull on the ball.
Agreed.
That's distributing. His job is just distribute him.
Yeah. But,
like Madujin for the Union. A guy like Madujin comes to mind.
Yeah.
Playmaker.
I mean, the one thing, I saw a couple positives and just to touch on one negative. There's one thing that I grew up playing with. My coach has hammered into me, and I think it's coming out now, is you look for a chance to one-on-one or two-on-one attack a defender. Whenever the U.S. would get themselves in a position to attack, it would always be a touchback or a playoff. I'm like, you're in position to make a one-on-one move, get the end line, get a corner kick, get a foul. It didn't happen often. I mean, that should be priority. Colombia will get the ball of return, and it would be either a through pass or a striker or a one-on-one attack.
Start seeing that you're predictable. Okay, they're not going to attack us.
Right.
We're going to sit back a little bit because they know that they're not going to be as aggressive. Great.
Right.
Or if you're not going to be as aggressive, fine. Play with a little bit. We're going to press you and steal the ball from you and score on you.
Right.
It becomes predictable.
Yeah. Then the 2 goals we did score were because of attacking. You know, either attacking
We've
the defender
got the fitness,
or attacking wide.
Then let's run. Let's run 18 to 18. Let's make it a track meet, 18 to 18.
Right.
You
but
know?
we didn't want to get in that business. We wanted to play a little bit of touchback. And that's where I think, to me, a Dutch style hurts a little bit. It's good for possession, but in the attacking third, it kind of not a huge
I always
fan
tell
of it.
all my teams this. Everybody says play like Brazil, play like Barcelona. But you know what? Possess with intent. If you're going to play it back, you better possess and exploit.
Right.
Find my weakness.
Right.
Don't just possess because guess what? Wow, you won the possession arrow. Wow, we got 70% possession. Yeah, but what did you bet 70? There are plenty of teams like Atletico Madrid who say, please possess the ball. Please possess the ball. Simeone says possess it. We will steal from you. We might have 30%, but guess what we're going to do with that 30%? We're going to score on you every single time.
Right.
So let everybody know you're listening to World Sports Show. I am Charlie Flo. He is John DeCriscio. We have a great guest in studio, OT from Nation One Academy. This is World Sports Show on WPPN LP Philadelphia 106.5 on your FM dial, phillycam.org/listen on your internet. So if you run out of internet or run out of FM, you can turn to either one. So I don't know if you ever run out of internet.
You could.
Check your internet settings. See if you're on 50% like your battery.
Yeah, right.
If you need to refill it up, get your internet
card. You don't
card.
pay the bill, they're going to shut that right off.
Absolutely.
Well, that's like old phone cards. You remember old back in the day? I mean, you are from Africa, OT,
yes.
so I'm sure you remember those old school days of buying a phone card.
Oh, yes.
And then you get the thing on, because I had some international friends that I used to talk to in Europe say, you have 3 minutes left. Or you get the phone card to give you the 1 minute warning.
Oh, we still have that in Liberia, by the way.
You still have the phone cards?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
It gives you the 1 minute warning.
Yes.
It's like wrap it up box. You don't get much of a warning at all.
Oh.
So, you have a really cool, nonprofit organization and an academy that you have set up in Liberia. It's called Nation One Academy. Just break down of how you started it and some of the history of why you did this.
Well, thanks for having me. And I sincerely appreciate this opportunity that was given to me by you guys to just come here and voice out my opinion about the foundation and what we do in Liberia. Well, Nation One Academy is like a non-profit academy in Liberia that empower the youth through education, sports, and character development. I came here in 1999, and then left the war and things like that with my family, and I always thought about going back home and doing something and trying to be impactful in the country. So for me, came here, did middle school, high school, and college here. So I felt like, doing something to impact Liberia through sport, it would be something incredible. So I went back home and started a foundation in Liberia that what we do is help the youth in Liberia through education and sport and giving them the opportunity, giving them the platform to use to come here and get a better education as well. Oh, perfect. Yeah, so what we do in Liberia is pretty incredible. We really help do our best to give these kids the opportunity to get a great education and also play sport. And we know that, Africa, that's all we do over there, play football. So we're trying to use that as a way to just serve and do our due diligence in Liberia to give to the less fortunate and people who are in need of it.
That's the big thing. You talked about academy. I mean, the name... The word academy, I think, is a thrown around term in America that I have a love-hate relationship with the term academy. But from talking and doing my research, you're doing the football, and you're helping the kids with their education. To me, that's a true academy because they're getting their school on one side, the education aspect of it, and then their football on the other side. And you've partnered with some schools over there, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we understand now. I mean, education is very important. Soccer itself can't really do much, and not everyone play professional. I know a lot of people have the ambition to do that, but I mean, we don't always play. Things doesn't always come or go our way. So what we do is, we emphasize much more on education aspect because that's something that once you have, you don't have to get hurt. Compared to soccer. So we always emphasize on that, and we tell them the importance of being in school and education and what that can do for you. Once you can balance that, I mean, these kids would do whatever it takes to get a great education and doing what they love to do, which is playing football.
I mean, it's a big message since both John and I coach college soccer, and you play college soccer yourself. Yeah. That how valuable it is me and John get these recruits and people sending us messages, sending us videos, and we get them from all over the world. And the biggest thing that we both have to ask these kids is your education, your grades, and all your test scores, because it's not a professional team where we could care less about your education. We want to bring you in for just the skills, but how much that can hinder you from moving forward, that maybe you aren't good enough to go play for a Man City or Man U or Liverpool, but maybe some college out there is willing to give you a scholarship, but you got to have the grades. And at the end of the day, I'm a big pusher, and I hope the college system never disappears for soccer, because the kid can spend 4 years at a program, just like you were at Monroe.
Yes. And
you walk out with a degree. Mm-hmm. You walk out with a piece of paper that can empower you the rest of your life. What I think a lot of young kids get blinded by is seeing all these professional academies, pop-up academies. Like, I want to go play for Man City. I want to go play for Man U. I want to play for Arsenal. Ooh, their academy got me involved. But are you walking out with a college degree?
Absolutely.
You might walk out with 3 or 4 years and a couple bucks in your pocket, and then you're left hanging. And we know how crushing it is to get cut from a team, not make a team. So now you're defeated on yourself, and you put so much of your life into football, and you don't have an education because you never really emphasize it. You studied the game, but outside of the game of football, you might not be employable. And you may be one injury away, but that's why me and John preach so much that we're both college coaches. He gets that college degree.
Yeah,
and if you're – go ahead.
No, I think, being here and going to college here, I mean, that helped me a whole lot. And it had made me into the man I am now, because when I was growing up, it was all about football, right? That's all I was trying to do was just play football. But when I became older, and I understand the importance of education, and I tore my Achilles. Ouch. So and it never healed. So that kind of stopped me from pursuing my professional career. But then if I never had that opportunity of just going to school and getting a great education, not in playing football. If I had stopped playing football, start getting my education just based on football, I wouldn't have been where I am now. Yeah. So I think, and that's the reason I always emphasize on our kids in Liberia. Listen, education is the important commodity you can give anyone in Liberia.
Yep.
So that's why we emphasize on that so much, and we've seen that work for us in Liberia.
I think the big thing that all of us can attest to here is it's so much easier to coach smart footballers, educated footballers, because there's going to be scouting reports, video reports. I'm going to have you read up on this team, and just an educated player that understands and can see 3 or 4 levels before and after. I can see something forming, and that just comes with expanding your mind. I mean, we're getting really deep on being smart, but it's true. And handling adversity, handling different situations is a grown-up that things are not always going to go your way. And I think through education and experiencing these ups and downs, we also talked, on the phone last week about some of your success stories of some of your players and some of the kids that you've gotten over here to the U.S. and some of the awards you guys are getting over. You want to share some of those stories?
Oh, yes. I mean, we have 3 kids down here now. Next year, we're bringing 3 more. So we have a kid, Milton Jones, which he was taken from the favela. Well, from a less fortunate environment, and we gave him the opportunity. Kid is a very smart kid in school. He did well in Liberia when he was on our facility, and now when he came here, he was just so bright. And what he's doing at Faye, now he goes to Faye. Faye is one of the most prestigious schools, the first boarding school in the U.S.
Is it in Boston area?
Boston area. It's a very, very strong school, and he's a B+ student there, and he is doing so well. And they're coming from Liberia.
Okay.
And going through that quick transition and see how
huge
he's
transition,
and he did so well. So I mean, it just attests to the work that we do in Liberia and how much we emphasize on education and things like that in that area. So he's doing quite well, and we have 2 kids in Texas who also are in JUCO schools, and they are doing quite well as well. They are doing really, really great.
Might give me their phone number. I can recruit them.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we have to talk about that. That's absolutely true.
That's the one thing that I love coaching with now Philadelphia Lone Star. When you play for them, they were junior Lone Star.
Yes,
is the amount of raw talent that comes into this club. For Liberians, Ivorians, and other nations like some players from Ghana and Mali. So you have a lot of talent. And we were talking about this before we went on air. We wanted to share some stories of how many nations in the world that there's so much raw talent out there. But, FIFA's, they're doing their hard work trying to put money to these programs. But, I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of corruption in every confederation. Even in CONCACAF, it is our beloved federation, but there's corruption in every federation. And I think that we need to reevaluate and FIFA even needs to reevaluate themselves about how these funding, where is it being used, that there's got to be the accountability. Because when I see the amount of raw talent just in Southwest Philadelphia and see how much success just one neighborhood, I'm talking not just a city of Philadelphia whole, you're talking just a neighborhood of how competitive, Lone Star is, that to get into the first round of the Open Cup last year, of how much they had to go through it and go toe-to-toe with pro teams and keep it under double digits against professional teams. And that's just a pocket neighborhood, but you're talking a whole country of Liberia. If you took the, people that live in America, the Liberians over there, to me, there's no reason why this Liberian team can't be competitive on the international level.
I mean, we emphasize on just corruption itself, and in Liberia itself is terrible because the players are great. We have some great players in Liberia. But I think that also the lack of support, and the federation are not, helping the team itself. It's sad. It's sad because we do have the raw talent, but if you're not cultivating those talents, it's terrible.
Yeah, and just like you said about the raw talent is there. The drive is there from the players, but it's the getting into these young players at an early age to get them on proper facilities and teaching them the tactics. Because skill level, one-on-one, our Lone Star players can break down anybody.
Absolutely.
And I think that when I watched the Liberian national team, watching the highlights, a lot of it is organization.
Yes.
It is that's why sometimes other teams win, not because they're bad athletes, because they will exploit your lack of organization. We will find a way to break your midfield down. We'll find a way to break it, and that just comes pure tactics. And that's why this is the beautiful game, where it's not always the most talented team wins. Sometimes it's the most educated team that understands the game better, and it can be very frustrating to understand, how did we just lose to this team that we were more talented than?
Absolutely, and if we look at Liberia has a great team, but I mean we always play up to the 85th minutes, 70 minutes, because there's no organization.
Yeah.
And you have these raw talent, and some of these guys never went to a football academy.
Yeah.
And, they don't know the basic techniques, and some of this, they don't know these things. So they just grew up with raw talent.
Yeah.
So when you reach a certain stage now, it forces you to think, and
Yep.
they are not thinking as fast as they should. So that's, we way back in a lot of things, when it comes to Africa and like in Liberia as a whole.
How about a Liberian friendly a few weeks ago? The president jumped on the field.
Oh, I was actually in Liberia when that happened. I was.
Did y'all break the internet almost?
But
Keeps the dream alive for all of us in the studio that maybe I should come out of retirement. Maybe if I'm the president of the United States, I can sub myself on.
But he was pretty good.
It's not like he's just some random president decides to step on the field. He has had a few international caps.
Oh, absolutely, and he loved the game. As being the president, most presidents want to do that. But I mean, for this guy, he just admired the game, loved the game so much that he just. I mean, he can play as much as he wants to. He still play currently in Liberia, just
Really?
with the club team. Yeah, absolutely.
This coach, you
It's every
the
week.
president. Yeah, sorry, Prez, you ain't starting today. Now I'm going to sub myself and I'm good. I mean, that's an empty. So when was the last time? That was just a few weeks ago. You were in Liberia.
Yes, I got back like a week and a half ago.
Okay.
Yes, I was up there for the opening of our foundation, and
Awesome.
so we doing great things in Liberia, and the kids are doing well as well.
Just let everybody know you're on the World Sports Show. We're with Octawie Tah of Nation One Academy, a academy that's set up in Liberia, and a lot of your goals is getting these young players into the schools, and not just the colleges, but like you said with Milton Jones, getting him into the high school level, the primary school level, so they're getting introduced to our system and our grades, and that could be another thing that can hinder a lot of these players that maybe they do so good in school, but their schools don't hold enough weight to get them to college. And I've run across that problem in recruiting, that they're doing everything they can in their schools, but just can't get recognized. But no, it's awesome what you're doing over there, and I believe your next trip was in December. You're heading over.
Yes, I'm planning to go back in December again for a month. So and it's also good. It feels good going back home because it is purposeful, and just giving back, going home and giving back. That's for me. That's incredible.
I mean, you were talking. We've done some foundation work here, World Sports Show, World Sports Foundation, and you have Nation One Academy. I think one of the biggest things you're trying to do when you go back in December is take some cleats with you. So we'll definitely let anybody out there know that we will put the information up on our website. We'll put it on social media, how to contact you, how to reach you. I've noticed a lot in the American club system. There's a lot of kids that it's like a brand new car every season they get a new pair of boots. Yeah. And I was the kid that my parents bought me a pair of boots per season. That was it. Mm-hmm. I remember duct tape, super glue, things like that, man, making them boots hold together. Because when I was a kid, there was the $40 pair of Adidas and there was a $100 pair of cleats. I got the 40 pair, and that was a lot of money back in the day, $40 for a pair of cleats. So we have a lot of kids in America I've noticed that they might get one scuff mark and they're buying a new pair of cleats. Yeah. So we have a country where, let's be honest, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Soccer in America, majority of people play, it's pay-to-play system. Yeah. Parents are paying $1,000 for their kids to pay. A pair of boots is nothing. It's a drop in the hat. For a player like me growing up, didn't come from money. One pair of boots for $40, I'd have to earn those $40, and man, I coveted those boots, man. I'm talking like how much love and care, and I'm sure you've seen the same thing in Liberia. You give a kid a pair of boots that might be worn and torn for an American kid that's been used for 3 months, but to them that's like handing them gold.
Absolutely. I never wore a soccer cleats until I came in this country.
Wow.
Yes, and I was born and raised in Liberia. I came here when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
Never once wore soccer cleats.
So those first pair of boots, you put them on.
Oh, my God. Absolutely.
Like walking on water,
Never
man.
won. So when I came here, and and then we see the importance of it, and that's the reason why I always try my best to ask around and try and get as much old stuff. And I'm not even talking about new stuff. I'm talking about this used soccer cleats. So these kids, even if they wear one and it's ripped, they tie it right back and keep playing it. Yeah. So what seems so old to you, to them, is brand new. So I mean, for me, I always go back and try and give that out as much as possible. You know, it's really important for me.
Yeah, I'm sure your contact information is on your website. Just let everybody know the website is nation1academy.com.
Absolutely.
So there's information to reach out there. We'll keep putting out there. So anybody listening, spread the word, share the word. When are you heading back out to Liberia? What's the date?
I'm leaving the first week in December.
First week in December.
Yes.
So we got some time. We got a couple months out there to reach out to me or reach out to the Nation One Academy. Try to reach out and get any type of used soccer gear. I'm sure you don't mind having a couple extra bags with you.
Absolutely not. We need everything as possible. Soccer cleats, balls, and everything pertains to soccer. We have a use for in Liberia.
That's good. That's good. Talk about your playing career. So you did come up here at 13. How did you get introduced to soccer in America? Obviously, you knew the game in Liberia,
Yes.
but I mean, you probably lived in Southwest Philly then.
Yes, so I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia. Born when I came here at a young age, I was in the Northeast. Went to George Washington High School. Played up there as well. All public player when I was in high school. So for me, soccer always been so important to me because I grew accustomed to just playing it in Liberia. So when I came, it was just part of who I was at that time. So I was able to use soccer as a tool to get a great education.
Yeah.
I got a scholarship at Monroe from soccer and got my education and get my degrees through soccer. So I mean, it's done a whole lot well for me. Then I can put in words.
Now, getting into the college, what was that process for you like? Because it's a different system. I mean, than in Africa, people are thinking play pro. I mean, I'm sure now it's different. The players are thinking, hey, I can go to university in America, and now you're looking, hey, I can play high school. And what was that process of like getting into Monroe?
I mean, it was very tedious because back then our parents never had it. So it's either you pay for it or a school probably believe in your abilities and give you that scholarship, and that's what Monroe College did. They gave me that scholarship, and it was a great experience for me. And coming from Liberia and just experiencing the whole, being college and having dorm and going to school and playing soccer. For me, it was a great. I had a great time, had a great experience, made great friends. So for me, I felt it was an incredible journey that I'm always going to take with me, the rest of my life. So it was a great moment for me.
Now, I'm sure that you're, I guess you could say, a Lone Star alumni, and
Yes,
just seeing guys like Derek Jones now starting and playing for the Union is just a testament that some of these neighborhood clubs can produce talent. I mean, that we look at a lot of the American system, it's a pay-to-play system. You got to be paying to play for the national team pool, but then you got a guy like Derek Jones that comes through Lone Star, tears it up, in a friendly against like the Steel, and then suddenly Union want this guy. I mean, that's to me what soccer should be is neighborhood teams producing a player, and then the pro team says, oh, wow, But I think that, there's got to be a lot more recognition on these neighborhood teams of kids that just can't afford to go play in all these ID clinics, and that's the thing, that how they get exposure without breaking the bank when the talent's there. And
I mean, Lone Star did a great. When I had the opportunity to go to college, it was Lone Star giving that opportunity when I was playing for them. When I played for them, a few coaches saw me and they was able to give me a scholarship. So they have done a whole lot of great job, I think, in the community, like giving a kid Derek Jones that opportunity, because not too many club team would do that. And coming from Lone Star, where it's predominantly all African, and Paul and Bobby, these guys are great guys, and they are so pivotal within the organization. So they give out a great opportunity to the young kids coming up, from the African community.
I think the big thing that a lot of Lone Star coaching staff like myself, that people don't realize out there, that most of us are volunteer coaches.
Yeah, yes.
Mm-hmm. That we don't have salaries, that we now have the senior team that FT's coaching, and then you have the U23s that Bobby's coaching, and now we've introduced 19s and 15s, and so we're looking on getting that academy set up here. And now that just a few weeks ago they announced me as the head coach for a women's team, that we're expanding and growing out and taking what we've had successful and taking that model. And Paul and I have told about it, is we're trying to keep the cost as low as possible to be in a women's semi-pro league. The same thing that you hear about a lot of these teams. Oh, you can be on this team, but you got to pay a ton of money. But in realistic, if you're a talented enough player, you shouldn't have to pay to play.
Absolutely.
They should be coming after you. So I know that all the staff at Lone Star do their best to, find sponsorships, and that's what I'm doing now, is working round the clock, trying to find ways to fund this. I'm sure the same thing with your academy. It's always trying to find ways to partner with, whether it's the barter system or somebody wants to donate a grant money to you, because there's a lot of talent out there and a lot of kids that are hungry just for an education. They just want that opportunity.
Yes, I mean, in Liberia, and that's what it really comes down to in Liberia. These kids are hungry, and sometimes even the education system in Liberia is terrible. Now it's getting better, but I mean, these kids just need the opportunity. Because kids like Milton Jones, who all he needs just the opportunity to get, to come here and get a great education, and that's what he's doing. It's crazy. I had a conversation with him a couple of days ago, and I asked him where he want to go. He said he wants to go to Harvard.
He's already in the right city. So.
He's already in the right city. He's in the right school as well.
Fake
school is such prestigious school in Boston. So he can make that happen. He's in a great school and he's doing well as well. So
I mean, that's the thing, is you start seeing success stories like that, and it becomes contagious.
Absolutely,
where kids see that, okay, Milton Jones did the right thing, and you got your players down in Texas at JUCOs, and they did the right thing, and look where they are now, and let's be honest, that you got yourself a Harvard degree. If he goes to Harvard, I mean, we're thinking way ahead of himself. He can be like, yeah, MLS, I'm good, man.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go be CEO of this company.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like, let's think about it. Ivy League education, MLS draft. I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna go to Wall Street real quick. I'm good. So, I'm gonna go get my own team. I'm the owner.
Absolutely.
So I mean, that's the success, is getting that degree. It trumps the football.
Yes.
It's the football and the education that got them here. But at the end of the day, you see Milton, he gets that good high school degree, and if he walks out of that high school to Faith School, he'll get to pick his college. It won't be one of those things where I'm going to apply for 50 schools, maybe one will hit me up. Same thing with recruiting, and I feel for a lot of these young players that email me since I'm a college coach, that I know they're doing a cut-paste email, because they're just like, hello, kind sir, and they're sending that email to 100 schools hoping one will send it back.
Yes.
You want to be in a situation where schools are calling up him, say, hey, you want to come here? And that's I'm sure when you can start really seeing your fruits bear.
Absolutely.
So let everyone know you're listening to World Sports Show on WPP and LP Philadelphia. I'm Charlie Flo. He's John DeCriscio. We're talking to OT here with Nation One Academy. Also, some big news we've been talking earlier in the show, before we went on the show, was USA and Jamaica playing for a spot in the Women's World Cup. Do you have an update for us, Statman?
5-0.
Still 5-0. Are we
Yep.
into the second half?
Yep.
Just playing a little kickball now. I mean, they got the 5 spot on them. I think they have it pretty much locked in the bag, so it's going to be U.S. clinching their spot or punching their ticket to France next summer in a matter of minutes. I believe that game probably only got a few minutes left in that, so that'll be interesting to see. That let's talk a little bit of U.S. women's soccer. Let's talk about just the women's game, because I know that's something that's very concerning. I did do some research on the Liberian women's team. It looks like they only played a few games in their existence, and I'm sure that's another program when we talk about some of these African teams. It's a lot like the Caribbean teams, that they're just, the opportunities weren't given to these young ladies as young women or girls to even play soccer.
Yes. I mean, in Liberia, I have, since I've been going back, it's not too many teams that I think are female teams in Liberia at all. There's no support.
Yeah.
And those federations are not advocating for a female team as well. So it's very sad in Liberia when it comes to women's soccer. It's terrible.
Yeah, and we've talked. FIFA's talked a lot about the equality and equal rights. That I get it, and I think that there's a lot of, it falls off very fast. Just within CONCACAF, you have about 3 or 4 nations that are competitive, and then it just falls off to the point where we were talking about earlier in the show, where Panama has rostered tonight against Canada 13-year-old, and even Jamaica was starting a 16-year-old.
Wow. And
that's the state that it falls off so fast, because the resources are there, because we've seen Panama men qualify for World Cup. We've seen a lot of these African nations qualify for World Cup or play really well in the African Cup of Nations. So they've played well on all these different levels. It's just, it comes down to the cultural acceptance of just equality, letting women play. That getting past the stereotype that your place is not in the home as a wife and being in the kitchen, that letting young girls play, and it comes down to a society's got to change.
Yeah. I mean, in Liberia, there's not even leagues. The leagues are not as strong as it should because in order for the women teams to do great in Africa,
Yeah, they gotta have somewhere to play.
Absolutely, right? We don't. It's just we don't even
They
have.
would just
that.
play in the park with their friends and kind of kick the ball around, and that's something I have talked to Paul about, trying to find some of these young women that are siblings of Lone Star players. But a lot of them, it just the opportunities weren't there even as a young girl. So even the college system in America, a lot of the top teams come from the top clubs that pay money. You don't see a lot of the success stories of some girl from Southwest Philly or North Philly suddenly go play D1 soccer. You can see it on the men's side because they just an athlete, but a lot of the girls just won't even get an opportunity that they might have had to play on a boys team.
Yes.
So hopefully within years to come, the Women's World Cup, we'll start narrowing that gap where you actually have all the teams in the Women's World Cup. Every game is competitive because when we watch the Men's World Cup, doesn't matter if it's an African nation or South American. I mean, look at Senegal against France in 2002, comes out and smacked France in the face.
Yes.
And it just shows you that that's what I love on the World Cup level, the men's level at least, that any team could be in any team.
Any team.
And let's be realistic, did Jamaica have a chance of beating the U.S. tonight? No, they had zero chance. And we knew the U.S. was going to beat them, but it comes a point where we talk about what's the scoreline going to be. Is it going to be 10-0? Is it going to be 5-0, 7-0? Same thing with Canada beating on Panama 7-0. That they're going to win, but by what score line? That you look at the Women's World Cup, that you can look at it, you can probably say about maybe 3 teams, maybe 4 will have a shot at winning it, and the rest it falls off so fast. But a lot of it comes down, like I said, within FIFA, I think enforcing this money and actually following up. So, going to be an interesting summer, like you said. Women's World Cup in France, so I like it when they're in Europe because I like the early morning games. Yeah. I like the World Cup games. I don't know, John's giving me a smirk. I like these games. I like the 8 o'clock game, like the 11 o'clock game, and then like your 2 or 3 o'clock game. I love it.
I absolutely love it.
When you're a coach for a living and you have the summer off to do summer camps, it's good for me. Yeah. That's what I do.
Right.
People with a 9-to-5 job, find yourself sneaking into that little back room and watching the games.
No, I find a way to watch every game. Same with World Cup. I'll watch every minute of
Tablets
every
and
game.
phones are powerful things.
Now they are, yeah.
That's why John's on a 2-hour bathroom break. You've been gone for a while there. 2 hours every day he disappears.
Yeah. The mannequin at my desk in my chair.
I think it's George Costanza from Seinfeld, like the old thing where he always steps out of his office and then you get like these tablets you can put in your coffee so it looks like your coffee's steaming. Oh, he must have just stepped out. His coffee's still steaming.
Yeah, right.
You find yourself going for a little bit of walk, stepping out for that long lunch break. But I can say I do remember the dark ages of football or soccer in America back in the 94, 98 World Cup. Man, if you weren't near
the dark ages in 94?
Exactly, the dark ages. Hey, majority of the kids that are born today don't remember the dark ages of only getting the World Cup, and that's it. But if you missed that World Cup game live, local sports channel, they're not reporting on that game.
No.
Unless the USA was playing, they're not reporting. If you go and say, "Did you get that Jamaica-Sweden score?" No. Huh? What? But now it's like, if you do record the game, you have to put the blinders on and close your ears because every outlet, you have so much access to the World Cup that every day people are talking about on the streets, even with the U.S. not being in the World Cup.
Yeah. I just wonder how many Philadelphians are Arsenal fans because we had one channel. It was Sports Channel America. It was on a bad cable channel, and they only showed Arsenal games. So and that was when going back to early watching it on TV was all Arsenal games, and then maybe it would be a U.S. matches, international matches were barely even on, so it was just Arsenal.
Well, our big thing for me growing up high school was that they'd have one of the cable or one of the over-the-air channels would show Man U highlights, and that was it. And it's funny is and not that I liked Man U, but that's the only team I knew,
right? Because
they would put these highlights on, and then they would produce VHS tapes, so you'd find them like the Blockbuster, that the best Man City goals, and that was it. And whatever kid was that got his hands on that cassette tape, whenever we'd have a rainy day in soccer, that's what our coach would do. We would just watch Man U best goals of, or like you always bring up the best fouls of. We still need to find that. John's got a story he's got to share with you, OT. What was this tape back in the day?
It was a VHS tape that was just hard tackles and red cards from like 85 to 90. It was like the best in the world.
Those are the real red cards.
Yeah.
You're talking like
Incredible.
These players that made a living of being your nutters, your enforcers. you can't find a spot on a roster like that. There were those guys that could make teams, and I was one of those guys. I was a very low-skilled guy, but I could slide tackle, elbow you, knee you, pull your jersey, rub your face in the dirt. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't say I was a dirty player, but I played to win.
Right.
I made sure the ball didn't go to the back of the net for my back line. I took care of my keeper. But, like, players like me, I wouldn't even make a roster today. I wouldn't even make a high school roster. I wouldn't even make a club roster because I had no skills.
The dark ages of soccer.
Dark ages.
93.
It's true. It is like the dark ages of soccer, of just getting the World Cup every 4 years, of having to watch the World Cup and just how valuable it is. And kids today, they don't know a USA without the U.S. being in a World Cup until this summer. I mean,
right.
I remember how big it was in 1990. The U.S. getting into the World Cup is huge.
Yes.
And, I mean, so what year was it when you moved here when you were 13? What year would that have been?
It was 1999.
1999.
Yes.
So, yeah. So you came here and 98 World Cup had just happened back home, but you got to experience. Yeah, the first World Cup you experienced for here was, I guess, 2002. U.S.
Yes.
That was the best run we made since like 1950.
Yeah, it was.
and back in 1960 or whatever it was, 50, whenever it was that we beat England 1-0.
Yes.
Can't remember 50-60. It means nothing to me because I wasn't alive.
No.
So,
No.
but I still attest that I think that 2002 men's team outside the 94 team was one of the best teams, like Jim O'Brien. Remember his little famous goal and Brian McBride and
The header.
just making that run and us beating Mexico 2-0 in the round of 16. Amazing.
Right. And just to switch subjects real quick.
Sure.
Just wanted to touch on one. Unity Cup just happened in Philadelphia.
Liberia back-to-back.
Yes.
Liberia back-to-back.
It was a good game.
And as far as getting tickets, took my daughter down there.
Oh.
I had 50-yard line right in the middle, first row. It doesn't get any better than that for a free
Oh, my
ticket, free
gosh.
parking. So, but I got to say, as far as a game, action-packed game, it was A+.
Yes.
Back and forth, dramatic overtime win, Liberia, back-to-back, like you said. It was great. It was good for the city.
Yes.
But I just wish I would have seen a lot more fans down there. It was a good crowd.
That's
but
the thing is,
it was a great game.
I went to the first final. You and I were there when it was at the Philly Stadium. Last year, I did the final. You missed last year's final because of commitments. I missed this year's final because my college team was playing the same exact time. But it's still the amount of talent on that field.
Oh, so much.
I mean, you're talking Ivory Coast won it the first year. Then Liberia went to last year. Now, I mean, it feels like a best of 7 series at the World Series. Like it come down to these 1-goal games, and half these junior Lone Star guys and Philadelphia Lone Star guys were playing in an Open Cup game today.
Yes.
Wow.
I think it was 8-0 or 7-0 when I left. I went and caught a little bit of the second half up in Northeast Philly. So people don't realize these guys are playing for their country and they're playing for a club.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just hearing the comments of people who were sitting around me who weren't soccer fans or never really saw a game in action. They were like, "Wow, you're allowed to make physical contact," and I was like, "These guys were going." It wasn't really as much as like physical contact like American football, but yeah soccer, you're allowed to make contact.
I do a lot of my trainings about how to shield the ball, shield the ball, and anticipate contact. When I'm receiving a pass, you got to anticipate somebody's going to hit you, but be able to stay on your feet, not look for that foul. Because that's the one thing I love about coaching Lone Star guys is they're never begging for the fouls. There's no flopping. There's no Neymars, no Ronaldos on the team. A lot of the African guys I coach play through the foul.
Yes, they do.
I'm sure you learned real quick, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yesterday it was a great Unity Cup. It was something incredible, and these guys play extremely well. It was a great game. I was actually up there pouring for Liberia, obviously, but
sure, you got some buddies on the
absolutely.
on the Ivory
I mean,
Coast.
both teams. So it was
It
a great
gets
game.
chippy, but it's all in good fun.
Absolutely, it was a great event.
Yeah,
Very good event.
even the pregame festivities on the field was a parade of the nations who were in the tournament.
Yeah.
which was great. Everybody was
I think it was
represented.
64 this year was a record or something. I know they've upped it every year, and that's the part that blows my mind that shows you the diversity of Philadelphia.
That's good. And to have the final like they did was a well-played match. And, it was a coin toss there. Anybody could have won it. But it was. I think everybody was satisfied in the crowd with a well-played match. And to cap the tournament off, that was pretty good.
Absolutely.
No, big hands down to the Philadelphia Rex Parks and Recs department for putting us on every year. All the staff there. I don't know why I'm drawing blank. Some of the staff that puts it on. It'll come to me later. But I mean, the thing is, the mayor supports it every year. One thing we've talked about, I would love to see this start expanding to women. Getting the women involved. Maybe have a 4-team tournament. With the women. At least have maybe have a women's final.
I like it.
Let's get the Unity Cup. If we're going to talk about unity, let's get unity with the women. Because I'm pretty sure the Unity song was sung by a woman.
Yeah.
UNITY.
Right.
So, no, big shout out to the city of Philadelphia Parks and Rec for making it happen. A lot of the games were spread out without Philadelphia, and I think that's the part that's neat, that it's a tournament takes place, what it believes it starts like in August, so it takes place over a couple months. Like the World Cup's so quick, it's like 4 weeks and it's over.
Yeah.
This is just spread out over a few months, and it's such a way to bring people together. And there's not many people within the Philadelphia area that all three of us here know. Say, hey, I know a guy on this team. I know a guy on that team. Oh, I know a guy on that team. And then even come down to the referees, a lot of the same referees I see in college. So it just really covers every corner of the Philadelphia area, not just Philadelphia, but the Philadelphia area. That's right. Of all the different groups and stuff. So, no, I want to thank you for coming in from New York today, OT. I mean, that's a little bit of a hike for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Traffic was ridiculous, but
hey, you made it. You made it before the show started. That's all that matters. Nobody
knows.
Absolutely
right. But thank you guys for having me. Obviously, it's using this platform to talk about the foundation and what we do in Liberia is such an incredible thing you guys doing here as well. So thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the places I'd like to go since my involvement now coaching with Lone Star. Definitely would love to go to Liberia. I know I've talked to you on the phone about my wife living in Gambia a couple of different times. So. Just her stories of living over there, and just I got to see it firsthand.
Yes, we have to make that possible. We have to. Nation want to have to do something next year.
Yeah,
you come and just be a guest.
I would love it.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Just watched Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations a few weeks ago, and they actually featured it was an episode from years ago on Liberia. It just happened to be random on there, so it really, definitely want to check it out. I'm no stranger to going to any corner of the world. I don't care, just let's go. And me and John, we always talk about food. So we got a few minutes left on the food. You got to tell me about some of the best Liberian dishes. I know we got about 4 minutes on the show, maybe 3.
When you go home, what's the first thing you want to eat? Local food.
Oh my God! But the food session, they has some great food in Liberia. I'm pretty sure if you guys do come there next year, we're going to make sure that we treat you guys very, very well.
Now, me and John, we love getting the meat sweats. We love meat. So there's going to be meat, I'm sure, right?
We're going to have some grilled chicken Liberian style, right? It's going to be real spicy and some similar to Jamaican spicy, but it's good. And there's a lot of things to eat as well, and we're going to definitely introduce you guys to like some of the soups and things like that you guys going to love doing. I'm telling you, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
So, as far as travel, what's your airtime looking like?
Airtime is like probably with a duration it might be like 23 hours because from JFK to depending what flight you take now. Yeah. So I usually go Air Morocco. So from here to it's 8 hours. From here to Morocco is 8 hours. Then
so you're going like JFK to Morocco?
Yeah, from Morocco, and then from Morocco to Liberia, it's just another 3 hours.
Okay.
But the duration between is like probably 3 hours, 4 hours, depending.
Not too bad.
It's not too bad, but sometimes you gotta wait for 8-9 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's terrible. It's terrible sometimes. But then, that's the only way you can go
exactly.
to Liberia,
It's not like
right?
you can like, I'll get your next flight. I'll get you next. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's bad at times. But I mean, these are some of the sacrifices that that we have to put in to give to back to Liberia. So
exactly. Well, we thank you for coming in. Thank you for everything you're doing with the foundation. Wish you guys the best of luck. Check out nation1academy.com. Reach out to them. I know you're doing a cleat drive. You're leaving in early December. Hopefully, you take some cleats, some balls, some shin guards, socks. Any other final thoughts? We have a score update in that USA game. It should be going final any moment now. I know the U.S. is. I see a 6-0 now. Is it official?
I'm sure the ref's looking at his watch, ready to make it.
I know we're trying to end our radio show, and he doesn't realize we're trying to sync it up. But pretty much USA has stamped their spot in the World Cup. They will play France in the CONCACAF final, and Jamaica and Panama will play for that coveted third spot in the CONCACAF in the World Cup qualifiers. Jamaica or Panama, I don't have a preference. I've got a lot of friends that are Jamaican, so I'm going to kind of root for Jamaica a little bit.
I just want to see a good game.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to see a good game.
Yes, exactly. Good game. World Sports Show brought to you on WPPN LP Philadelphia 106.5 FM, phillycam.org/listen on your internet. We'll be back same time next week. World Sports Show every Sunday night at 9 o'clock on your FM and on your internet. I'm Charlie Flo, John DeCriscio, and OT from Nation One Academy. We'll be back same time next week. We're out.
See you then.
Thank you for watching a World Sports Show production. For more info, go to worldsportsshow.com.